You guys just let me know when you're ready. So, oh. This is what I was going to say.
Just maybe we thank him for his support. That's a generic, vague way to say that, eh? Who has helped with this session.
Okay, cool.
That is vague enough, so if he appears, cool. If he doesn't,
Session. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think we're ready.
Okay. Kia ora, everyone. Let's get this session started. So welcome to the ArcGIS Online session, Esri's cloud-based mapping solution. I hope you guys are all feeling really refreshed after lunch and you're ready for this amazing presentation by these two ladies. There really is a lot to cover in this session, so without further ado, let me introduce our presenters. From Eagle Technology, we have Jess, who is a GIS Technical Solutions Consultant, and Carol, a GIS Solutions Engineer. We also thank Philip Heedy, Group Product Manager from Esri, who has helped with our session today. Take it away, guys.
Thanks so much for that. This is just a reminder that for questions, please use Slido. There is a poll going on right now for that, and please make sure to select our session today, which is the ArcGIS Online session. I'll give you guys a moment because I see quite a few phones out, taking a picture of that. Awesome. Okay, then we'll go ahead and get started. So our agenda today, I don't know if you guys were aware, but there was a brand new release of ArcGIS Online that just came out. And so there's a lot of content to cover. And to kind of make sense of all the new updates that have happened, we kind of wanted to work through this together with you guys as a complete workflow. So we're going to be starting with kind of the administrating and the settings and the content management. Starting to pull in other data from other sources. How do we edit the data that we have? And then when we start putting that out into maps and start actually analyzing, getting our results to where we actually begin to visualize, then create maybe our final apps or productions and share them out. And then we even go a step beyond that into how ArcGIS Online connects to other systems. How do we extend those workflows a little bit more? And then finally, just some brief updates in security with ArcGIS Online. At the end, we'll have about 10 minutes or so for Q&A. We'll go through Slido and just check on some of those questions and answer them to the best of our ability. And then finally, we'll just set you guys off with some resources to learn more after the session. So to start off, I know many of you in this room are very familiar with ArcGIS Online, but just in case you aren't familiar with it, real quick run through of what ArcGIS Online is. So this is one of our foundational products. This is software as a service, and that's being hosted by Esri. And online usage is something that keeps growing, and it's being used by so many people worldwide to access a large, vast amount of data. And because it's serviced by Esri, Esri is hosting it, that means that there are millions and billions of requests being made every day using this service. And so online has many different capabilities. And when we talk about it as a platform or a service, it means that we have the capabilities for editing. We have the capabilities for mapping and visualizing, actually doing analysis in the cloud. And we have a lot of new updates to this that are coming out that we're going to detail a little bit more. One of the focuses that you'll hear a lot, both at plenary that you've already seen, but also in what we're about to cover today, is about managing geospatial data. So ArcGIS Online is not just a online map. it is also a way to manage your data, and it fits into the larger platform, ArcGIS as a system. There are many different ways to manage your data. Some of us are really comfortable editing our data in ArcGIS Pro and using our desktop tools. But there's increasing parity and options to keep that in the cloud and edit the way that you would like. And then there's the apps. There are so many options for the applications that you can create in ArcGIS Online. And this is the main way that we're able to share out our data in a way that makes sense, in a way that we can communicate our messages. And there are many options for how we sort of create those apps and maybe the reasons why we would want to choose one app or the other. And we'll go into that a little bit more later on. So we're going to start with the basics, the very foundation, basically, with ArcGIS Online. And that's the administration and the content management. Starting with probably the most exciting update that we've ever had, which was the recycle bin. As you guys would have seen earlier yesterday, that was a little bit of a highlight. Hopefully this is something that you guys have been asking for, been long awaited. As a reminder, it's enabled by default, but you can opt out of it. If you don't want a recycle bin, you don't have to, but it's pretty great, so I would strongly suggest having it. And it's basically something that you can opt in or out at your own convenience. But there's a couple other little updates for content management that are really, really awesome. So when it comes to date field support, so date only, time only, and timestamp offset field types, they're now recognized when you publish them, when you add to or update hosted feature layers from Microsoft Excel or CSVs, GeoJSON files. So that's something that's been asked for quite a long time, and so that's just a little bit of making sure we're supporting those types of data. And there is just a couple more improvements when it comes to making those offline maps a little bit easier to use, supporting true curve features. So there are minor updates that are just keep coming out to make sure that the content management is as easy as possible. And that includes when it comes to metadata. This is the core behind every single data layer that we publish into ArcGIS Online. It's really important. It's the data about data, and it's how we create really useful context for our data. So the beta version of this, the metadata editor, that was already out last year, but now it's out of beta. So this is a really awesome tool that we strongly recommend using that allows us to kind of quickly complete what we need when it comes to creating the essential bits of metadata and making sure we're compliant with standards. So this has had kind of a new look to it with now there is the new metadata editor, but there is the classic that's still available, and you can enable this and choose which version that you want. But in the bottom image there, we can see that it's had a little bit of an updated look to make it as easy as possible to add your thumbnails to items, view, download, overwrite metadata records, and just make sure your documentation is way more robust, even including the optional elements. And then it comes to user types. So this has been something that we've been talking about, I think, at Regional User Conference, if you were there earlier this year. But there were user type changes that came with that big online update. And if you speak to your account manager, I strongly recommend making sure everyone is aware of what those changes mean for your organization. One of the ones we want to highlight that is kind of a big change is when it comes to hosting imagery. So that's changed. That used to be ArcGIS image for online was an extension that you had to get to host your imagery or to publish it to ArcGIS Online. That's no longer the case. You can now host your imagery with a Creator, Professional, or Professional Plus. Where that ArcGIS image extension comes in, ArcGIS image for ArcGIS Online, is when you want to analyze the imagery. That will need to have some migration so that you can make sure you have your image analysis capabilities with those new user types. And just a reminder what those user types are. I won't go into great detail, but just some highlights is that there's been some name changes. That was one of the big ones, is that instead of editor, we have contributor now. We have our Professional and Professional Plus. And without going into too much detail, please just speak to your account manager and make sure that you are completely aware of what licenses mean for you and what your capabilities may have changed to be. And so with that, I'm going to pass over to Carol to talk about the next step. So we've talked about sort of setting the stage for managing and controlling our users and our content. But Carol's going to take us through the next step, which is how do we start pulling those data sources into ArcGIS Online. So with that, Carol?
Yep. Yeah, so now I'm going to talk about integrating with other data sources. To start, extracting, transforming, and loading data, commonly known as ETL, is usually an integral task for many GIS professionals. With the February ArcGIS Online update, there's now a new native capability that streamlines this process, and it's called data pipelines. This tool significantly simplifies and speeds up how we access, prepare, and integrate data in ArcGIS Online. Data pipelines enables you to directly connect to your data sources, perform engineering tasks, and write the processed data into a hosted feature layer in ArcGIS Online, all within a no-code environment. So a typical data pipeline workflow usually consists of 3 primary steps. First, you will need to connect to your existing data source. Secondly, transform the data with various tools. And third, loading the prepared data, which is then ready to be used as a feature layer in ArcGIS Online. Now I'm going to dive into a live demo where I will walk through the data pipelines workflow. Cool. So here, you will notice that data pipelines is a no-code graphic user interface. On the side panel, you can see that it is made up of 3 elements: inputs, tools, and outputs. The input data can be from files in ArcGIS, cloud storage, databases, or ArcGIS Online feature layers. To use files uploaded in ArcGIS Online, select where you want the file to come from. And from here, you can find the file you want to use and add it to your data pipelines. To bring in a data set from a public URL from sources such as data.gov.nz or LINS data service, simply paste in the download URL and select the correct data format. Now, to bring in a data set from a cloud store like Amazon S3 bucket, you will need an access key, secret key, and the bucket name. And once you have accessed the data store, all you need is the file name to bring in your data set. Once your data has been loaded into data pipelines, you can preview it to ensure that it was successfully loaded into data pipelines. Your data can now be processed. And to process the data, there are 5 tool categories that help you transform your input into a usable feature layer. Clean tools can be used to remove unnecessary fields, modify, or fill values. Construct tools can be used to create geometries and calculate fields. Format tools can change field formats and projections. And finally, integrate tools, which can be used to join and relate to other tables. The output will create or update feature layers in ArcGIS Online. Here, the Create Geometry tool has been used to create a points feature class. And again, we can preview it to ensure that the data has been correctly processed. Another useful capability of ArcGIS data pipelines is the schedule task feature. Here you can create a task to update a feature layer when the data source has been edited, whether that's once an hour or once a month. To do this, open the schedule panel and create a task. And here you can select the start date, how often it is going to be repeated, and this will now run without your computer even needing to be on. You can decide how the feature layer will be written. So here you can select whether it will be replaced, added, or updated. And this example is just one way you can use ArcGIS data pipelines. In this project, you can see a workflow that is created to enrich the Christchurch schools layer. So in this case, the Christchurch schools layer is enriched with population data, and this is done using the statistical areas to join them. So running this pipeline will then create a new enriched feature layer in no time. When using data pipelines, credits are consumed based on how you run your workflows. In interactive mode, like how I'm showing you, it uses 50 credits per hour, but this is calculated per minute. And for scheduled runs, the rate is 70 credits per hour, also calculated per minute. Now to manage your credit usage, there are a couple of simple ways. First, you can click the connection details to close all pipelines, which will stop any further credit consumption. And then another way to minimize your credit usage is to set a maximum runtime for your data pipelines. So here, when I open the schedule pane and create a task there, you can set the maximum runtime. We have also created some extra resources to help you get started with ArcGIS data pipelines, which was created by one of our graduates, Mia. And the story map contains examples shown here, alongside some more ideas to help you get started. Now I'm going to switch back to the slides. Let's talk about editing your data in ArcGIS. Before we dive into the latest and newest product, it is important to recognize that there are already many editing tools within the ArcGIS system that you are already use or know. You might be familiar when editing your data using ArcGIS Pro, Map Viewer, even Experience Builder, Instant Apps, or other tools. So Esri has introduced the new web editor as a dedicated tool for those who need a more specialized editing experience with more advanced features. However, if you are already comfortable and proficient with the tools that you currently use, there is no need to switch. The web editor is designed to complement, not replace, your existing tools. Can we go next? The ArcGIS web editor is now available as part of the June 2024 update to ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise 11.3. As the name suggests, web editor aims to simplify GIS data editing for you and your team. So for users of ArcGIS Pro, web editor can complement your existing editing workflows by empowering your other colleagues to handle their own data updates in ArcGIS Online. So this tool really helps to reduce the need for extensive QA work by enforcing data rules during data capture. Let's talk about some of the new capabilities in more detail. So I've used a screenshot from the plenary that Fran did. And first, when you open the web editor, you will start by loading an existing web map. The user interface will feel familiar, as it is very similar to Map Viewer, but with some notable differences. So first tool that makes web editor different is the selection toolbar. This toolbar helps with panning the map and selecting features. It is important for navigating and choosing specific elements on your map. Second, the editing toolbar. Here you can create and modify features within your GIS data. And this is where you can add new elements or make adjustments to your existing ones. Third, undo and redo. These buttons are available while using the drawing tools, making it easy for you to correct your mistakes or revert changes. General toolbar, this contains additional tools critical to your editing workflow, offering a more variety of functions to support different tasks. And lastly, directional pad. This feature allows you to pan the map while creating and modifying features. You can toggle it on or off. When it comes to editing features, the web editor offers tools for creating, modifying, and deleting your data. Creating and editing features starts by locating the specific records that need updates. So at first, you will need to use the selection pane to build queries and quickly find the exact features you're looking for. And the editing toolbar includes essential tools for modifying feature geometries, such as move, reshape, split, merge, and delete. And for drawing, the tools can work seamlessly together. For instance, you can use the line tool at first, and then right angle tool and freehand tool in sequence to create a more complex shapes like polygons. Repetitive tasks are pretty common in data editing, and to boost your efficiency, the web editor provides over 24 keyboard shortcuts, which I've shown on the slide. And these shortcuts help you streamline actions and improve your workflow. So yeah, the web editor consolidates many existing ArcGIS tools into a single web-based application, offering you a more streamlined environment for editing directly from your browser. Now I'm gonna hand over to Jess again to discuss about mapping and analysis.
Great, thanks, Carol. So now we're going into a little bit more of a visual part. So Carol showed us basically how to pull in our data, edit, do the really foundational work. But then when it comes to changing how this appears and starting to set out what kind of message that we want from our data. So starting off, this is a reminder basically of what we saw in plenary yesterday. So Carol has showed us a new tool, the web editor for editing. But many of us still might use Map Viewer to use our editing. And there are still advancements that are happening to make sure this is still easy for you. So just as a reminder, that you now have better accessibility in editing. That if you click on a layer and open up that table, you have a little bit more of a streamlined way to create your data, to make sure you configure the editing workflow, but also that you can now actually go into your fields and calculate your fields within Map Viewer, similar to how you would do it in ArcGIS Pro. And then you have all of these customizations that you can do for this calculation fields, including using SQL or Arcade to configure those expressions for that. So as a summary of the sort of capabilities that we can do, so creating and editing features, seeing those related records. We know that that's often one of the most common workflows is having a related table that we want in ArcGIS Online. And before having to go to our data tab and then seeing those records there was not as useful unless we were out of our map. But now we can stay in our map and still take a look at those related records. And not only can we calculate our fields, but we actually have the ability to add or delete fields while in Map Viewer at the same time. In order to add or delete fields, you just need to make sure you are the layer owner, you are maybe your organization's administrator, or you're a member of a shared update group that the item is shared with. And it's an availability for hosted feature layers and hosted tables. And then we have two new layer types. So first of all, we have catalog layers. So catalog layers, you might have, if you're keeping up with some of the updates that are happening across the system with ArcGIS, catalog layers are gaining popularity, both in ArcGIS Pro, but also in Online. And basically, they point to different items and services and provide a centralized reference point for all your data that can be distributed and accessed efficiently. But also media layers. So some of us may have already experienced pulling in like a JPEG or a PDF and being able to put that on your map and georeference it, get it in the right place. But that's actually now a layer type, so you can save it and not have to georeference it again and use it in a different map if you need to. And there are some labeling enhancements as well, just to make it a little bit more customizable and to make sure that your maps are as readable as you need them to be in Online. So we have basically the ability to customize our labels, and so you can adjust the position of the labels along lines. You can set the background transparency and even the background outline color and size. And then we get to maybe the kind of symbols that we're using to kind of explain the message in our map. So there's always updates to cartography, and with this we have a little bit more options for aggregation, which is a common way that we sort of summarize our data when there's a lot of it, and we need it to be a little bit cleaner when we're zooming in and out of the map. And now you can use Arcade to help support those bins and make sure that you're using a customized expression to organize that information. And when it comes to smart mapping themes, we can now use reference size. And that allows us to visualize values in relation to another using a bounding outline for reference. And this can be used with polygon features and bins. But maybe we're into a little bit more, we've gone past maybe the visualization, and we need to start doing some analysis in the cloud. So there's been some updates to this. We have some parameter enhancements and some new tools actually that have been updated. So join features, we now have the ability to calculate count as an only option. There's enrich layer, which has the ability to draw input features button. So that drawing a sketch layer from within a tool. So if you need to draw an extent of where you want your tool to run, this makes it a lot simpler to be able to do that within the tool. We also have a set credit warning threshold. We do know that a lot of tools use credits, sometimes not very much, but sometimes they can run heavy credits. But you can set a threshold so that you're warned if you are reaching towards that maximum of credits that you really want to be spending. And then a big one is custom web tools. So there may be many of us in this room who may have heard of ArcGIS notebooks, which is basically a way to run scripts and put them in the cloud and do our processing and analysis that way. If we want to share out those notebooks and we're trying to share them to people that maybe don't know how notebooks work, or they're not scripting and they don't understand code, the ability to actually run a custom web tool so that the interface is just a bit nicer, so that somebody can run your script, your notebook, in a way that makes a little bit more sense or is a little bit simplified for them. So custom web tools are a really amazing new feature. And then we have a simple but really effective update when it comes to printing, when we're ready again to start sharing out our results. So we now are able to preview the map extent that's going to be printed. Small thing, but super useful to see exactly what it's going to look like. But also, before we used to have custom printing services in order to set up the layout for what we wanted our map to look like. But we don't actually need to do that if we don't want to. We have the ability to have a custom print layout template that's published as an item in ArcGIS Online, and then it can be shared with a layout template group. And with that, they can be used to print maps then from Map Viewer. To show you what that looks like, basically this doesn't have much on this map, but just to show you the actual printing. this has, I've been added to a group that had a couple of templates that we can see here, these 2 templates besides the normal printing sizes. And by clicking on one, I can then see the preview of the extent of where I want to print. And then I can export that. And I'll create a PDF. And just like that, we can see that that is now been put into a PDF map that was my organization's template. So now, Scene Viewer. Just quickly with this one, Scene Viewer is awesome when we are talking about 3D. There's been a couple of enhancements for this as well. One of them is that we're just continuously working on the visualization and making that as enhanced as possible. So the ability to customize the elevation mode to more precisely position layers, that's been introduced. And we can use attribute values or arcade expressions to kind of improve that placement. And using that time slider, using time-enabled 2D and 3D layers, using the time slider to control the animation with options to play, pause, and navigate between time periods. And the ability to add 3D models, upload those as well, that's now out of beta. So we finished off with our mapping and analysis, and now we're getting to the part where we're actually trying to finalize what we've created. So with that, I'm going to pass back to Carol.
Thank you, Jess. So now let's explore some of the web app builders in ArcGIS Online, which I personally use very often because I enjoy creating apps and visualizing data in my own way. So let's start with the definition of app builders. What are ArcGIS app builders? These tools offer configurable, purpose-driven applications with no-code or low-code options. Today, we will focus on these solutions, which let you create web apps through a user-friendly interfaces, templates, and predefined components. So with drag-and-drop functionality, there's no need to do complex coding. When thinking about app builders, consider 2 main workflows. There are people who configure it, and there are people who are using the app. So many of us in this room are probably involved in configuring apps, I'm assuming, and deciding which app type to build. So our aim is to design apps that effectively meet our end users' needs. So this is just a high-level overview of apps that I'm going to talk about, starting from Experience Builder, which lets you create immersive, interactive custom applications, instant apps that allows you to quickly transform your maps into fully functional apps. Dashboards can help you to provide decision-making insights at a glance, and story maps lets you craft and publish engaging narratives through maps, and HubSite. Although this one is more of a website, but ArcGIS Hub is used to facilitate community engagement and collaboration, making it a great addition to this category. Starting with instant apps. Instant apps are all about delivering rapid, focused solutions for specific needs. With 20 templates available right now, these apps are designed to excel at particular tasks, ensuring your efficiency and effectiveness. The strength of instant apps lies in their ability to address specific use cases, and they are particularly useful for scenarios such as public information. So you can quickly provide the public with critical information, whether it's emergency alerts, community updates, or event details. And the second use case would be incident reporting, allowing users to report issues or incidents quickly and straightforwardly. Instant apps offer 2 modes of configurations. Express mode, this one is designed for quick setup, ideal for when you need to deploy an app fast without extensive customization. And full mode, which provides more detailed configuration options, allowing you for a more tailored app experience that meets specific needs. Recent updates to instant apps include language switcher, which I'm going to show in a live demo later, Atlas template, and some of the other new templates like reporter, observer, and compare. And these new options provide specialized functionality for reporting, observing, and comparing data. Dashboards. As the name suggests, a dashboard is a powerful tool for understanding data trends. However, its functionality extends far beyond the traditional elements like charts, KPIs, and tables. Dashboards offer interactive features that allows users to engage with the data in a meaningful way. So they enable users to interact with the elements like filtering, selecting, which enhances the ability to perform visualization analytics. Recent updates of ArcGIS dashboard include some of these valuable features, starting with splash screen. This feature provides additional context before diving into the dashboard, helping users understand the purpose of your dashboard or the scope of the data they're about to view. We've also got some mobile view improvements, which ensure that dashboards are optimized for various devices, offering a more seamless experience whether on a desktop, tablet, or smartphone. We've also got some new themes. So there are 7 ready-to-use themes right now, and you can also customize them, which allows you to align the dashboard's appearance with your organization's branding or corporate identity. Experience Builder. This stands out for its remarkable flexibility, allowing you to create web apps tailored to many, many needs. Whether you're looking to design a map-centric or data-centric application, Experience Builder can bring many capabilities together in a way that fits your vision. So key features of Experience Builder are the wide selection of widgets. They have 50 different widgets, and giving you the freedom to build a highly customizable app. So you can select and arrange widgets to meet your unique requirements, whether your focus is on the maps or on the data, or even both. You've also got flexibility when designing Experience Builder. It can be as dynamic as you need, and it allows you to choose between a fixed one-screen layout or a scrolling one, or even multi-page experience with tabs. So this adaptability ensures that your app can fit different content and user interaction needs seamlessly. Some of the recent updates are the ability for you to view related records. So you can easily access and view related records within Experience Builder, enhancing the depth of information available to the app users. You can also set raster data as data source, and generate Survey 123 reports, and also the Building Explorer widget, a new widget that enhances the exploration of building data. Now I'm going to show you some quick examples of instant apps, dashboards, and Experience Builder. Cool. I have 2 examples of instant apps today. First, with the new reporter template, which allows you to view and submit reports on specific issues. It includes basic map tools for navigation and viewing submitted reports. One use case I'm showing you today is submitting asset maintenance requests for properties. So here I can just simply click the layer, click report a maintenance request. I'm just going to put it randomly on this building. And then a smart form will appear to specify your request details. And as you can see, some of the fields are automatically populated using Arcade. And once submitted, essentially, like a new report has been submitted. So here's what it looks like when it's submitted. So that's reporter template that's available ready to use in Instant App. The next example uses the sidebar template, which now supports oriented imagery, which allows you to interact with images taken from any angle. So some templates, like the sidebar template, now supports language switcher. So here I can easily switch to my native language, which is Indonesian. And then as you can see, some of the texts have been translated. So this could be useful if you want to share this app to a more diverse audience. Next, I've got a dashboard. Dashboard is a user-friendly data visualization tool. And here I'd like to highlight a few new features, starting from the splash screen, which introduces its purpose, background, or terms of use. But here, I'm using it to display a disclaimer that this dashboard is using data that is for demonstration purposes only. The new theme capabilities also make it easy to make more visually compelling dashboards with just one click. So offering 7 themes to choose from. So here I've chosen from one of the lists, and you can also customize the themes to match your brand. Just copying the asset ID. So when I go to an asset, dashboard also now supports update feature capabilities directly within dashboard. So this is really useful if there's like if someone like collects data in the field incorrectly, and you can easily update it within the dashboard without using an additional ArcGIS apps. Finally, you can also integrate a 3D scene, allowing you to experience a more immersive view of your map. And this also allows you to select your features and triggering actions similar to a regular web map. Experience Builder generally falls into 2 different categories, map-centric or data-centric. Today, I'm going to show you another 2 examples of those. And the first example here uses the new contour template, which is map-centric approach. And this template encourages users to interact with the maps, making it easier to understand and explore the information visually. A key feature I've added here is that you can now view related records within the web app. On to the second example. This one is more data-centric, built with the new scrutiny template, which supports scrolling. This app focuses on climate change data, which you have probably seen in the plenary. And it works like an informative website. It brings in various data into one unified web app. And it is designed to convey important insights in a clear and engaging way, while also allowing users to explore data behind it. I'm going to go back to the slides again. Okay. Story maps. Story maps are a powerful tool for creating and engaging interactive narratives by combining maps, media, and applications. They allow you to tell compelling stories with a rich mix of content, making both your app both informative and visually appealing. So with story maps, you can integrate your maps with various forms of media like images, videos, and interactive apps. Some of the new features of story maps is that you can use briefings now. Briefings brings presentation slides into story maps, and you can also bring it offline to your tablet, making it easy to present and review your content even when you're not connected to the internet. Story maps also offer a Python API, which enables you to automate the management and updating of content. And this feature is particularly useful for maintaining up-to-date information and streamlining your workflow. Last but not least, ArcGIS Hub. ArcGIS Hub is a dynamic, cloud-based engagement platform designed to help effective communication between organizations and their communities. By leveraging initiatives, organizations can create a dedicated hub site to consolidate resources and engage with both internal and public audiences around specific projects, topics, or goals. So ArcGIS Hub is all about uniting communities, individuals, and organizations, a platform for bringing people. What's new in ArcGIS Hub? One of the exciting new features is the map-based discussion boards. These allow users to discuss inputs and ideas directly on a map. So you can sketch on a map and highlight areas of interest or concern. And others can comment on your sketches as well. Esri also made significant improvements to the data download system. This upgrade ensures a more reliable experience, making it easier for users to access and download the data they need. Okay, I've got some more demos for briefings and hub site. So briefings is the sister product of ArcGIS Story Maps. This one allows you to create interactive slide-based presentations that you can take offline on your mobile tablets. In briefings, you can interact with maps and 3D scenes, and even embedded content, like the experience builder I've shown you in the plenary. To interact with maps without an internet connection, you will need to upload a mobile map package or scene package when configuring your briefings. Moving on to my last demo, ArcGIS Hub. ArcGIS Hub is the tool that brings it all together by creating a one-stop shop for content, team collaboration, and engagement. Here I've created a very simple hub site called My Initiative. So by leveraging ArcGIS capabilities, I can create a space for partners to work on this initiative. So I've set up a team workspace by creating teams, and you can add people to those teams. You can also add data for your contributors to access. Adding content to hub site is quite easy, like navigating your existing content, your organizations, or public data, which then can be shared with our teams of collaborators. Here we can see all the data that I have curated, and these aren't copies. We are streaming data straight from the source, so there is no need to continuously update it. Our collaborators can also upload their own data or content to their team workspace, so they can create discussions around that uploaded content. So here you've seen a simple hub site that allows you to connect with your teams and link existing data or content. When selecting the right app, it is important to avoid a simple versus approach. Instead, focus on a thoughtful strategy that considers which app will best support your tasks and objectives. There are 3 key considerations, starting with the primary purpose. So here we want to determine the core function. What is the main goal of your application? Are you aiming to tell a compelling story, inform an executive with high-level insights, or provide a more focused and advanced workflow? So understanding the primary purpose will guide you in selecting the app that aligns best with your objectives. The next consideration is your familiarity or your expertise. Assess your comfort level. So are you comfortable using them, or would it be beneficial to bring in additional expertise? So evaluate whether you have the skills to build the app effectively, or if you need to recruit someone with the necessary experience. Last but not least, which is actually the most important aspect, is the audience needs. Understand your audience. Who will be using the app? Assess their level of comfort with technology and the complexity of your application, how frequently they're going to use it. So make sure you tailor your choice to fit the needs and preferences of your audience to ensure a successful and user-friendly experience. So by focusing on these three factors, purpose, familiarity, and audience, hopefully you can make a well-informed decision about which app will best meet your needs and enhance your effectiveness. Okay, now let's explore how to integrate ArcGIS workflows into your daily apps. In this section, I will refer to some of the Ed and Mia's plenary demo on geo-enabling workflow. ArcGIS for Microsoft 365 is a collection of data visualization tools that integrate location analytics into your business applications. By incorporating ArcGIS content, you can add GIS context to your Microsoft apps, allowing for further analysis or even broader insights. This helps you make more informed decisions, enhance visualization, and collaborate effectively with your team. On the screen, you can see a variety of apps, including ArcGIS for Excel, ArcGIS in Teams, Power Automate, SharePoint, and Power BI. I'll be talking about each of these in the upcoming slides. ArcGIS for Teams provide a seamless way to access and collaborate your ArcGIS content within Microsoft Teams. You can easily search, share, and pin ArcGIS maps and apps in chats or meetings. By integrating operational maps, teams can improve decision-making and stay up to date without leaving the team's environment. When combined with ArcGIS for Power Automate, users can also receive automated notifications on data changes. Talking about Power Automate, as organizations seek to increase efficiency, many turn into automation tools like Microsoft Power Automate. This is a no-code, low-code platform that helps automate manual tasks. The ArcGIS for Power Automate can be triggered by schedules or events like webhooks. And there are 3 different connectors: ArcGIS Connector, ArcGIS Pass Connector, and ArcGIS Enterprise Connector. These connectors can offer GIS functions like geocoding, routing, geo-enrichment, data management, and attachment handling. ArcGIS for Excel, one of the most popular products in the ArcGIS for Microsoft 365 suite, which enables users to transform spreadsheet data into interactive maps. Once the ArcGIS for Excel add-in is installed, you will get access to the ArcGIS and Map Data tabs that will appear in Excel, giving you access to the tools for creating and managing maps directly within your spreadsheets. You can easily integrate location services to spatially enable your rows in Excel and overlay them with other data layers and gain deeper insights. Excel formulas and calculations can be applied to enrich your data. For example, you can geocode locations, convert XY coordinates into addresses, and more. There is also a function builder tab in ArcGIS for Excel, which helps you explore different spatial formulas. Talking about ArcGIS for Power BI. This one seamlessly brings spatial analysis into Power BI reports by utilizing location data or geocoding it into map features. Unlike other Microsoft integrations, this one is built directly into Power BI, requiring you not to install it. So with ArcGIS for Power BI, you can visualize data on a map, customize map layouts using smart mapping templates, make selections based on geographic areas, display feature information for active layers and attributes, analyze demographic data of specific areas of interest. Once you've refined your maps in Power BI, you can publish the dashboards and reports that incorporate spatial insights and easily share this content. There is also ArcGIS for SharePoint. Many organizations use SharePoint for document management and collaboration. ArcGIS for SharePoint enhances this by embedding maps, improving communication and data sharing. So your documents in SharePoint can be linked to map features, making them easier to find through the map rather than searching the files specifically. SharePoint lists can also be geo-enabled and displayed with or without contextual layers. And that wraps up ArcGIS for Microsoft 365. I'm going to pass over to Jess to talk about security.
Sweet. Thank you very much, Carol. All right, so last but not least, still a very important factor that I think all organizations do want to consider. When it comes to security, there's been a couple of updates. One thing of note in the news, I think when we heard about the CrowdStrike outage, you may have noticed that ArcGIS Online was not affected. So basically, ArcGIS Online is working really hard to make sure that we have really strong segmentation of corporate and customer operations of our products and make sure it's resilient and help mitigate against the scope of supply chain risks. And so part of that is FedRAMP moderation. So the fact that we reached this status recently was authorized. And what that means is that basically there's been a new level of stronger security and privacy assurance. And when it becomes down to what that means for you guys as individual organizations, that happened without any implementation that was required. So that was nothing that had to be installed by you or had to be done. It was just improved. The one thing that we would recommend, however, that you do is to make sure that you're using this to the best of your capabilities. It's down to every organization and how you have your settings in your organization to make sure you are using the security settings and authorizations to the best of your ability. And so for that, we want to recommend that you visit the ArcGIS Security and Privacy Advisor tool. That's something that will analyze and help you figure out if your current settings or organizations poses any security risks and some steps that you could take to make sure it's as secure as possible. And one other thing, many organizations use multi-factor authentication. It's a really great way just to have that double layer of security when signing into ArcGIS Online. And then organizations that want to allow members to have this, to have multi-factor, it can just be enabled with a toggle button. And now we have the ability to actually enforce this. So with this, it means that it is required by your users in order to sign in. And if you enable one of these settings, organization members can set up the multi-factor authentication through their own setting pages and then receive verification codes on their phone or tablets, whatever the supported authenticator app is. And this supports basically authenticator apps that are based on a time-based, one-time passwords algorithm. That can mean like Google Authenticator for Android or iOS. And you can basically search these kind of apps in your store of wherever that is on your choice. So that has reached the end of our content for today. I think we are actually perfectly on time in that we have a good 10 or 15 minutes for a Q&A session. So we will have our lovely facilitator come back up here and take a look at Slido so we can see what questions we can answer for you guys.
Yeah, that was an awesome presentation. Thank you so much, Jess and Carol. And thanks to everyone also who submitted a question. We've got some really good ones in here. And I think we will have enough time to get through all the questions, so fantastic. Question 1, so does the web editor have branch versioning support, and if not, when is this planned for?
I might ask, we do have a guest speaker here with us today who you may have seen yesterday, who is here and may be able to answer that in just one moment.
You might want to go to the next question and then come back.
No worries.
Yeah.
Is it best to have a single service with multiple layers, i.e. 80 layers, or multiple individual services? What is best for performance?
For performance?
For performance, yeah.
I think it depends on the use case there. With
Whoever's question that was, do you have any more information that you want to provide? No?
service as in like just performability as, do you have a lot of users accessing it and it's just slowing down and you're trying to figure out what's the best way? Is this like a public facing app that you have these services, or do you just mean in general which uses less storage, which is faster to access?
Oh, here we go.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my question. We're delivering a public-facing ArcGIS Online app as well as an internal app on Portal. And we're trying to figure out the best approach for performance purposes on what will perform better, whether it's best to have a single service with multiple layers, or whether it's best to separate out into multiple individual services. I guess from a performance point of view, I'm mostly thinking about the internal portal side of things, because I know that there's not much we can do with ArcGIS Online to enhance or optimize performance anyway. But I was just curious to know what the advice was from Esri on what the best approach would be. If you have any advice on that.
At the top of my head, I wouldn't know the answer to that question of which is the best, most performative, I guess, with that. But I do think Philip might have an answer for you.
Is this on? Yeah. I think Jess nailed it with her first response, which is it depends on exactly what you're doing. But there are some general things we can say. Initial load of the layer metadata, the information about the layers, their extents and so forth, is generally better if you have a single service, because a lot of that data can be then loaded by the applications in a single call, as opposed to having to go to 80 different services and spreading that all across. But at the end of the day, presumably you're not going to have all 80 layers turned on all at once, or at least I'm hoping that's not the case. So it often comes down to a trade-off. Very, very simply, initial load can be faster with a single service. You get a little bit more flexibility in terms of how to organize things if you have separate services. You can do a lot of things in terms of having individual items pointing to individual layers within a single service. So as with everything that we tend to do, there's plenty of options. But experimenting and figuring out exactly what fits your needs for the type of application you're creating and the type of interaction that you are expecting from your end users is typically the key to getting the best solution for you.
And I think one thing I just want to add there as well is that it depends on the layer types as well, because different layer types have different performances. So you want to consider that when you're thinking about how you're going to publish your data.
Awesome. I've got 2 questions about data pipelines. So, do my layers need to be uploaded to ArcGIS Online before being used in data pipelines?
Yeah, I can't answer that. So the question is, do my layers need to be uploaded to ArcGIS Online before being used in data pipelines? The answer to that is no. So as an input, it doesn't have to be from ArcGIS Online feature layer. So you can connect to external data sets like Amazon Esri or Snowflake, or you can also ingest a layer from public data via URL, such as open data portals or CSV files.
Cool, and the other question was, what kind of notifications are available for pipeline runs with errors?
So the question is, what kind of notifications are available for pipeline runs with errors? I believe there is, Philip, could you answer that maybe? Are there notifications available for pipeline runs with errors?
I don't remember offhand that there's notifications as such. There's information you can get about runs retrospectively, looking at the history of the runs to figure out what's happened, and in case there were any errors during such a run.
Cool. Next question. Just confirming that with custom layout templates, we can load our own organizational templates into ArcGIS Online.
Yeah, it's in beta. You put it into a group, but that's a layer type that you're able to add to a group. So you don't have to set up a custom printing service for the organization for that.
And last question, what is the best way to sync data from an enterprise geodatabase to ArcGIS Online, ETL, or collaboration tool in Portal or other?
Philip?
The two are very different in that an ETL process is often, but not necessarily, a one-way, right? You're copying from one system to another, and now you've got 2 separate copies of that same data. If you could set up an ETL process to continuously update or replace the copy in ArcGIS Online, but that gets very close to what distributed collaboration is then actually intended to help you do, which is effectively have a single data set that simply manifests in both locations. So distributed collaboration is geared around that concept of being able to take data from one system, make it available in the other, and then even have bidirectional data updates. Typically with ETL processes, you're only going in one direction, right? You're going from the source system to some kind of destination. So there's certainly similarities between the two, but the differences come down to how easy it is to set up, and then what kind of maintenance do you need to do for an ETL process versus the somewhat more simplistic distributed collaboration setup.
Actually, I lied. Sorry, there is one more question. Are all the user types shown available in ArcGIS Enterprise?
So the new user types, the updated user types that shipped with ArcGIS Online in the June update will become available with ArcGIS Enterprise beginning at Enterprise 11.4, which is releasing here later in the year. Previous releases of ArcGIS Enterprise, meaning 11.3, which is out now, and before, continue to use the historically available user types. So we're not changing the user types retrospectively. Once you upgrade to ArcGIS Enterprise 11.4 or beyond, you'll see the new user types with the new names and the new definitions and the inclusion of the new things.
Do we have time for a couple more? I'm just getting questions as I'm standing here.
Philip's here,
So do custom web tools consume credits, and how is this calculated?
For running for custom web tools of notebooks. Geoprocessing tools in ArcGIS Online consume credits as well. So Philip, can you correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're using the tools for the API in the notebooks, then that's going to be what's consuming the credits. So it's just depending on how it's basically the same concept. If you're running a geoprocessing tool that would consume a certain amount of credits, and you're using similar tools and functions in your notebooks, in your custom web tool, then it would be a similar amount of credits you'd be burning.
If the question is then, if you're publishing your notebook as a custom web tool, then when somebody is running that custom web tool, it's similar to simply running a notebook by itself, right? It's the same model where it's counted by the minute. I don't remember if the credit cost is exactly the same per minute, but it's that same principle of it.
Cool, thank you. And that's it. End of the questions. Thanks, everyone, for submitting all those. That was fantastic.
Sweet. With that, I think we finished pretty much 2 minutes early. So I think that I'm going to count that as on time. So thank you guys so much for being here. Just remember that if there's something that we didn't cover today and that you're interested by, please find us at any time during this conference. If you want to have a one-on-one chat, we're happy to oblige. Otherwise, we do have resources for you online. Just a reminder that documentation for everything that we talked about today is available, as well as a lot of the Esri blogs summarize really well all the new content that we talked about today. So thank you so much. Enjoy your break.